I've produced 29 albums of my own and an additional 30 albums that I've produced for others. I've written 478 songs, which sounds like a lot, but not when you've been doing it 50 years. That's um, not so many. Um, but I have been prolific. I've had the occasion to tour in Europe and in Africa and in the Caribbean, and as well to my mid Atlantic states here in the United States. My experience has been very much a traditional one. My earliest recordings, starting in 1972, 1973, were done in traditional studio spaces where you had to rent per hour. Um, Gather musicians in that one space, come together and record. Particularly in the jazz idiom, we tended to perform all together, very improvisationally. As compared to today, uh, the studio that used to be a big room with lots of baffling and lots of equipment, a wall of equipment and a wall of a mixing board can now take place in a in a laptop and be just as good, if not better. If this technology were around when I started, I'm not sure that it would have made a tremendous difference to my path, to my journey, because the journey of an artist is almost always one of connecting with his or her own inner inspiration, and then somehow turning that into an experience that can be shared by and with others. And so that process would be the same no matter whether you're using Web3 or Web 2 or Web 1, and we're just blowing on a reed flute across from a campfire from someone. It's always about reaching out. It's always about having something inside you that needs to be expressed, and then having that expression um, projected out into the world where people can respond to it. So the experience might have been very similar, though the mechanism, the technology is obviously quite different.
Thank you for that rundown and that response. I love that, and I agree, right? Like the artist path, and it comes from within, right? Like you gotta know your own creative process, and how to get the way you view the world and your reality out to the world, so that other people who may not see it the way you see it, you can unlock that perspective for them. So that's wonderful. And as far as community building and gaining that following, and and really acknowledging your supporters. Can you say anything on that? Have you in the past done any exclusive events for your supporters that may have taken effort that Web3 technology would eliminate?
Well, I don't know about eliminate. I know it would enhance. Most recently, when the pandemic hit, um, I had a unique experience. I started doing concerts on my front porch for my neighbors, and it started off as an individual small thing just for my neighborhood. We ended up doing it 76 days in a row. It ended up building a following online, and people all over would look forward to these daily concerts that happened at the same hour all the time. And so, in retrospect, it was like building a community. I thought I was building a few people, doing something for a few people on my block. It expanded till we were getting about 4,000 viewers a day. And then the epilogue of the story was that on my 75th birthday, um, we had a much larger gathering, including the mayor who came and gave me the key to the city. So that was an example of building a community, starting with 6 or 7 or 10 people on my block, and then growing a community by having some unique programming, very specific programming. And that was the goal, to service those people. But there's a lesson in that, and it's a very common one. It's not a unique lesson, but it's the lesson that says where there are a few people gathered to experience something, that that experiential thing can grow, and the glomming on of others, because we are wherever we are. Like today, we're in Paris, but wherever we are, we experience similar things. And two of the 10 things that we all experience are food. So we're having lunch, and music. There's no society today, and none that we've ever known about, that didn't have music as a portion of its cultural milieu. So music is a very important entity, if you will. And so now we're finding new ways to incorporate music into a much broader experience. So, I'm not saying anything that this crowd doesn't understand already, but this idea that music can be more than just sound. As we project into Web3, we obviously incorporate visuals, we incorporate environment, we incorporate interconnectivity and interactivity in a profound way, potentially profound way. So we're looking to continue what I've started from the 1970s, recording and then disseminating those recordings on these petroleum-based plastic disc called vinyl records. And now we're finding new ways to get this music and this experience to others, which may involve only three-dimensional mental space, as opposed to just the audio and the physicality of what the recording industry has been all these 100 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's about the ideas, the ideas that we're getting out there, and as long as we're getting the ideas out there, Plunky, if I look as healthy as you do at 75, I will be a very happy man. I will be a very happy man.